Bailey Zappi said, "What would Mac Jones do?" And that's what he did. That's what he did. What would Mac do? Welcome to week 10. We're live. Awful, awful game. Let me tell you, I am so thankful that the international series is over. I hate the Sunday morning games. I hate them with a passion. I like to just have a nice, relaxing Sunday morning. Get up whenever I feel like getting up, have some breakfast, go for a walk, not have to sit here and watch football at 9:30 in the morning, especially when it's an awful, awful game. Awful game. So glad that torture is over. We get to sleep in the rest of the season on Sunday mornings. But here we are. Here we are. It's week 10. We're going to do what we usually do. We're going to go start, sit, questions. We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. Like I always tell the TikTok audience, if you want to guarantee that I'm going to answer your questions, hop over to the Yards Per Fantasy YouTube channel. Just find Yards Per Fantasy on YouTube. The link is in the TikTok bio. And I see these questions because we get a lot more questions on TikTok, so it's hard to keep up with it and see them all. But I do see them all on YouTube because we get less. So, I guarantee I will answer your questions if you hop over on YouTube. So here we go. Let's start. We already got a question here on YouTube. I need help. Wide receiver 2, should I go Christian Watson or Khalil Shakir? Wow. Yeah, so Christian Watson is one of the biggest disappointments in fantasy football this year. And I mean, are we that surprised? I mean, he was certainly, I never said that he was going to be a bust this year, but he was certainly in that danger zone of being a bust, right? Because coming off of last year, he got by on an insane touchdown rate. He was scoring touchdowns at an unsustainable rate. And then he's getting the quarterback change to Jordan Love, who we knew probably wasn't very good. And we're seeing that. He's worse than we thought. And that's really killed Christian Watson. However, he can still get some big plays. He's still got juice. Now, Khalil Shakir also has juice, not to the same extent of a Christian Watson, but Khalil Shakir's looked good. Since Dawson Knox has gone out and they've played more 11 personnel rather than having 2 tight ends on the field. It's really benefited Shakir, and the whole offense has looked better because of it. However, his fantasy production really hasn't been something that we can rely on week to week at this point. Not that Christian Watson's has, but we've at least seen a couple big plays or close to big plays from Christian Watson. So there's a little bit of hope there. I do have them ranked pretty closely. I'm looking at the wide receiver rankings right now. I am going to go with a slight edge to Christian Watson. But Khalil Shakir, not a bad play. If you need a wide receiver 4, desperate in the flex. But I am going Christian Watson, especially because it's a half PPR. So we rely on touchdowns and yardage a little bit more than just pure receptions. So that's what I'm going to do. Brian Robinson or Keaton Mitchell? This one's tough because, Keaton Mitchell, he had his little breakout last week. He had a few touches, took on for a long touchdown. But he's been injured all week, and he was questionable coming in. He is going to play. Brian Robinson, Brian Robinson's not very good. He's in a not very good offense and is splitting the backfield. So, it makes sense. It does make sense to want to play a Keaton Mitchell over Brian Robinson. Now, I do have Brian Robinson ranked ahead of Keaton Mitchell, but that's kind of just like if you want, a little bit of a floor here, a little bit of a safety net, he's going to get you some touches. I mean, Keaton Mitchell is certainly going to give you a much higher upside, but we're still not sure what his role is going to be, especially coming off the injury. He's been limited in practice all week, questionable coming in. That's a big concern. What is his role going to be? I don't think he's just going to be all of a sudden he's going to be Devon Achane. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm gonna go Brian Robinson. I think we wait another week to play Keaton Mitchell. Let's see if we can get healthy and let his role let's figure out what his role is really going to be. I think they're still going to lean a lot on Gus Edwards, but it's going to be Keaton Mitchell eventually is going to overtake Justice Hill in his role more than he's going to just like take over that backfield. But we'll see what happens. And I'm okay just waiting and seeing what happens there. Marquise Brown or David Montgomery, PPR. I'm going to go David Montgomery. I think he's going to go pretty much, pretty close to what his role was prior to his injury. And I know that Jahmyr Gibbs has played really well in his absence, and I expect Jahmyr Gibbs is going to continue to be significantly involved. But I think David Montgomery will play, 90% of what his role was prior to him missing a few games, which means he's going to get the majority of the between the tackles work. He's going to get most of the red zone and pretty much all of the goal line work. So in a good offense, in a game that's going to score a lot of points between the Chargers and the Lions, I'm going to go David Montgomery. And it's great news that Kyler is coming back for Marquise Brown. But let's give Kyler a week or two. Let's give Kyler a week or two to knock off the rust. He hasn't played in a year. Hasn't played football in a year. Remember. So I think we have to factor that in when making a decision on Marquise Brown. If we have a good option like David Montgomery. Should I start T.J. Hawkinson or Tank Dell at the flex? Hawkinson has sore ribs, and there's only going to be key moments. I'm not sure that's true. I know he's banged up and he's injured. I haven't heard anything about him just being like in there on like third downs or whatever. I haven't seen that. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think that part is true. So I expect Hawkinson to be pretty much a full go. In which case I'm going to play TJ Hawkinson. Josh is asking James Conner or Calvin Ridley in the flex, full PPR. I have Jahmyr Gibbs and Stevenson at running back. Yeah, that one's tough. There's a lot of chatter that today could be a Calvin Ridley day, but I think we're good with James Conner. I expect him to be. I know he's coming off the injury, but I expect him to be pretty much what his typical usual role is. They're going to go right back to full James Conner. Because like we just talked about, Kyler Murray coming off the injury, hasn't played in a year. He's going to be rusty. They're going to need to lean on James Conner a little bit more than they normally would with Kyler Murray. With the knee injury, Kyler Murray's not going to want to stand in that pocket and take hits. He's not going to run around on that knee in his first game back. It's going to take him a little while to be able to trust that knee again. And like I said, not playing in a year. That's a big deal. That's a big, big deal. So they're going to lean on the run game of James Conner. They're going to check it down to James Conner. He's going to be pretty heavily involved, I think, coming off that injury. So we're gonna go Conner. Jacob is asking Javonte Williams or Jerome Ford at running back. Yeah, that one's a good one. So Javonte Williams, prior to the bye week, a couple of weeks prior to that, his role was starting to expand. So I'm gonna go Javonte. I've got him ranked 2 spots ahead of Jerome Ford, so it is close for sure. But I'm gonna go Javonte coming off the bye week, with his role starting to ramp up. The Bills are really injured on the defense. They've been really susceptible to the run because of some of those injuries. So yeah, let's go Javonte. Second part of this question is Chris Godwin or Amari Cooper. Yeah, I'm gonna go Amari Cooper. Apparently Chris Godwin is sick today for whatever that's worth. Um, I'm not really factoring that in, but we just got to throw it out there. We're going to consider it. Even without that, I have Amari Cooper ranked ahead. I know Amari Cooper on the road is tough. We know the home road splits with Amari Cooper, and he's going against the Ravens. So this game could be a little risky game for Amari Cooper, but I don't think it's any riskier than Chris Godwin, especially a sick Chris Godwin. So we're going to go Amari Cooper. All right, let's get this question from Sam. Start 2, full PPR, Brian Robinson, Christian Kirk, or Terry McLaurin. Yeah, we're going to go Christian Kirk. Oh, we're going to start 2 of these guys. So we're going to go Christian Kirk. We're going to start Terry McLaurin. We're going to go both of these wide receivers over a Brian Robinson. Yeah, for sure. I like Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk is pretty much consistent every week to week. He gives you those explosive plays as well as some target volume. So we're gonna go Christian Kirk there for sure. I don't like Brian Robinson. I don't like Brian Robinson. He is a between the tackles grinder who doesn't get a huge volume in a bad offense. Yeah, if we can sit Brian Robinson, we're going to sit Brian Robinson, especially when we have 2 very startable wide receivers. He's a top 20 wide receivers, both of them. So we're going to play those guys. I know. I was thinking the same thing. Bijan flashbacks with Godwin for sure, absolutely. But at least they're telling us ahead of time. At least they're telling us ahead of time, like, hey, we got a little bit of an illness here. Let's factor that in. Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of too when I saw that report. And I wonder if it weren't for that, would we even know about this Chris Godwin in illness? I don't know. All right, like I always say, if you have questions on TikTok, come over to YouTube where I see the questions. We get far fewer questions on YouTube, so we can actually kind of siphon through them. Siphon, is that a word? That's not a word. I don't know what word I was trying to get there. But come on over to YouTube, find Yards for Fantasy on YouTube. The link's right in the TikTok bio. I definitely will answer your questions over here. All right, this one's from Connor. Calvin Ridley or Jahmyr Gibbs in the flex? This one's really tough. This one's really, really tough because Calvin Ridley's been so inconsistent week to week. Jahmyr Gibbs is playing really well, but now we got David Montgomery back. Man, I think we're still going to go Jahmyr Gibbs, though. I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs. I know Calvin Ridley is tempting. Calvin Ridley is very, very tempting here. I'd love to be able to play both of these guys. Your team must be pretty loaded if this is your flex play here. With all the bye weeks we're having too. Yeah, let's go Gibbs. I'm going to go Gibbs. I think that game's going to be a shootout. Not Jags. Chargers are pretty susceptible. They haven't been very good against pass-catching running backs. So maybe that plays a role here. Let's do that. Let's go Jahmyr Gibbs. But I do think Calvin Ridley's a solid play this week. Let's get this one from Ben. Derrick Henry or Garrett Wilson? Yeah, I think we could go Derrick Henry. Right, we're gonna go Derrick Henry. Playing against the Bucks. Garrett Wilson, he's so dependent on Zach Wilson, and that's not a fun game to play, man. Not a fun game to play to have to rely on Zach Wilson to get Garrett Wilson the football. So in that case, we'll go Derrick Henry. Not that I feel super great about Derrick Henry, but we'll play him. Jackson Smith-Njigba, Curtis Samuel, or Tyler Boyd. Oh, this one's interesting because we got Curtis Samuel coming off the injury. Tyler Boyd with no T. Higgins. And Jackson Smith-Njigba has been playing better, at least, as of late. But Geno Smith has not been playing well. All right, so I got Tyler Boyd ranked wide receiver 38, one spot ahead of Jackson Smith-Njigba at wide receiver 39. And I got Curtis Samuel ranked as my wide receiver 42 going against the Seahawks. So they're all very, very close. We're going to give a slight edge to Tyler Boyd here. He got a good matchup going against the Texans. That game's going to be really fun. Texans, Bengals, shootout. Let's get it. Let's have it. I can't even talk. Yes. Texans, Bengals. I think that's going to be a really, really fun game. It's going to be a shootout. So we'll give the edge here to Tyler Boyd. All right, Dave Montgomery or Amari Cooper. Ooh, Amari Cooper on the road against the Ravens. A little sketchy, But Dave Montgomery coming off the injury, but that game's going to produce a lot of points. A lot of touchdowns, which means fantasy points. I'm going to go Dave Montgomery. I'm going to go Dave Montgomery here. Let's go Monty. Dak Prescott or Jared Goff? Wow. Yeah, I think we got to go Jared Goff, right? We got to go Jared Goff. In this game, I know they want to run the ball, but it's going to be a shootout. In Detroit, against the Chargers. I have them ranked. I'm looking at the rankings right now, back to back. QB6 for Jared Goff, QB7 for Dak Prescott. One thing I'm worried about with Dak Prescott, I know he's got that great matchup going against the Giants. Giants are terrible. But the Giants are so bad offensively that I don't know there's going to be that much incentive for the Cowboys to throw the ball much. They're going to get out to an early lead, and they're just going to be like, you know what, let's just hand it off to Tony Pollard. Might get some Rico Dowdle in there today because they're going to be blowing out the Giants from like play one. That is what worries me with Prescott. Whereas Jared Goff, you know that game is going 60 minutes. You know, tons of points. Going against the Chargers, going to be a much more competitive game, which usually gives us more pass attempts, which is going to be great for Jared Goff. So for Prescott to get there, he's going to have to get there early. He's going to have to get there early because it's by the second half of that game, it's going to be a run game. All right. Alex is asking Marquise Brown or Deebo Samuel. Yeah, I have these guys really close. So Deebo Samuel is coming off the bye week. Marquise Brown is getting Kyler Murray back, but we've already talked about there's a little bit of a concern that Kyler Murray is going to be rusty, right? Hasn't played in a year. With that said, I do have Marquise Brown ranked 2 spots ahead of Deebo Samuel as my wide receiver 19. Deebo is my wide receiver 21. Both are great plays, you know, as top 24 wide receivers. We're going to go Hollywood Brown, though. Remember, I know Kyler's rusty. Coming back. But last year, when these two played together, it was magic. These guys were so good together. In the games that they did play together, Marquise Brown averaged 18 fantasy points per game. He was the wide receiver 8 in the games that they played together. So, factor that in. All right. Trey McBride, Rashid Shaheed. Is there a funner name in the NFL to say than Rashid Shaheed? If there is, let me know because I don't think there is. Rashid Shaheed. I can just say that all day. Say that all day. I'm going to say it one more time. Rashid Shaheed and Michael Thomas in the flex. So Michael Thomas is a Karen. You learned that over the weekend. Michael Thomas is a Karen. He had someone parked out in front of his yard on his street. He started throwing bricks at them. What the hell? Dude is a straight up Karen. So he's on the bench for sure. Trey McBride has really, really been playing well. I know last week was a dud, but he still had a 25% target share. With Clayton Tune at quarterback, the offense as a whole we're held under 60 yards of total offense. So Kyler coming back is going to be fantastic for Trey McBride, who is breaking out all over the place. The target shares have been elite for 3 straight weeks with 2 different quarterbacks. This is going to be his 3rd different quarterback in the last 3 weeks. I think a rusty Kyler, we talked about him before, he's going to lean on James Conner, but I think he's also going to lean on Trey McBride. So let's go Trey McBride here. Rashid Shaheed is so dependent on a long touchdown connection from Derek Carr that it's really volatile to play him. He could get you 2 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. He could also get you 1 catch for 9 yards. Where I think Trey McBride is going to give you at least some targets, some catches. I think he'll get at least 5 targets at minimum 5 targets. And that would be really, really low considering what he's been doing over the last few weeks as far as target share. All right. We already got this one, right? Hollywood Brown or Debo. We went with Hollywood Brown. And he asked it several times. He must have come over. These guys definitely came over from TikTok, spamming the chat. Like, oh my god, why are you spamming the chat? Like, I'm gonna get to it, man. I'll get to it. I told you if you ask the question on YouTube, I'm going to get to it. You don't need to spam the chat, but I appreciate you. This one we already got to as well from Henry or from from Ben. We went with Henry. We're gonna play Derrick Henry over Garrett Wilson. Stop spamming. Yes, thanks, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Speaking for me, yes, completely agree with that. And if I had noticed that, I probably wouldn't have answered their questions, but that's all right. We'll get this one from Ryan. Gus Edwards or Najee Harris. I think we could go Najee Harris, right? We could go. Do we? Do we though? Do we have to go Najee Harris? I don't think we do. These guys are probably ranked pretty close in the rankings. My initial gut feeling says Najee. I'm pulling up the rankings right now because sometimes when these guys are close like this, yeah, you know what? I got Najee Harris ranked a few spots ahead of Gus Edwards. So we're going to go Najee Harris. I got him ranked as my RB22. He's looked a little better lately. A little better. Not a guy I feel great playing, but especially with the bye weeks this week, I think if you have Najee Harris, you probably have to play him. Gus Edwards going against the Browns. Browns defense has been, they've been good. They've been good. Although they haven't been as good lately, but they've been good. All right, Dak Prescott or Jared Goff. We got this one already too, right? We're going to go Jared Goff. I have them ranked back-to-back, QB6 and QB7. I'm going to give the slight edge to Jared Goff. We already talked about that, though. All right, Chris. Dave Montgomery or Jacoby Myers? Yeah, we're definitely going Dave Montgomery here. I'm confident that Dave Montgomery is going to get back into pretty close to what his role was prior to the injury. Probably not quite to the full extent, but pretty close. And Jacoby Myers has an Aiden O'Connell problem, and that really concerns me. Aiden O'Connell only threw the ball, 23 times last week. Going to be a lot of Josh Jacobs. They're going to continue to try to get the ball to Devontae Adams unsuccessfully, possibly, but they're going to try, which is a big concern for Jacoby Myers, which really is disappointing because Jacoby Myers is really good early in the year, and he was such a value in drafts or again a throw-in in trades prior to the season. And I was riding him in a couple leagues. I was starting Jacoby Myers week in, week out in a couple leagues. And it was working out really well. Unfortunately, I think those days of being able to trust him reliably are probably done for this year. Yes. Yeah. So we'll definitely go Dave Montgomery there. All right. Michael Thomas is a menace. I just dropped him in one of my leagues. Yeah. He wasn't giving you anything on the field anyway, really. But yeah, now he's a Karen. Yeah. Exposed himself there. All right, Dak Prescott or Kyler Murray? Ooh, yeah. I think in this case, we go Dak Prescott. We go Dak Prescott. He's playing against the Giants. We already talked about that game. We have a little bit of concerns, but if he can get there early, if he can get off to a good start and he throws the touchdowns early, which I'm worried that their early touchdowns, if they end up being rushing touchdowns, we're going to have a dud day from Dak because they're going to get out to such a big lead, but they also could get multiple passing touchdowns early. Kyler is going to be rusty. We've already talked about that as well. So because of that, I am going to go Dak and hope that he throws for some early touchdowns. Sleepy, I got to shout out Sleepy, by the way. Sleepy has showed up in multiple of our shows, a couple of mine, a couple of the Coach Approach shows. So he's a big friend of the channel. So really appreciate. It's always great to see people who are in our chat in multiple different shows week in, week out. Sleepy is one of those. So I really appreciate that. Christian Watson or Romeo Dobbs on the waiver wire. Christian Watson or Romeo Dobbs, yeah. See, I think Christian Watson still gives you the highest ceiling. He can still give you those splash plays. Now, he doesn't have a quarterback who can get it to him, but Romeo Dobbs, I mean, early in the year without Christian Watson, he was producing for you. Now that Christian Watson is back, it's just kind of been a jumbled mess between those three, really, between Watson, Dobbs, and Jaden Reed. I think we get to the point at some point in the second half of the year where Jaden Reed is going to start to overtake Romeo Dobbs, especially as the Packers are losing games. They're going to want to see, like what does our rookie have? So I would go Christian Watson there for sure. I would prioritize him over Romeo Dobbs on the waiver wire, just because I think he has a higher ceiling. All right, who do I start? George Kittle, Dalton Kincaid, Tyler Boyd. One starting at tight end and one starting at flex. All right, so we're going to go, I think we go Kincaid. Kincaid over Kittle for the tight end spot. But I think we are going to play Kittle over Tyler Boyd. Now, there are some concerns with George Kittle with Deebo Samuel coming back. I know we've probably all seen the splits at this point with George Kittle in games with Deebo Samuel versus games without Deebo Samuel. That's definitely, but I would play him over Tyler Boyd because, yeah, maybe Tyler Boyd will give you a higher floor for this week, and I think he's probably going to have a decent game going against the Texans. Should be a lot of points in that game, a lot of passing. Jamar Chase is banged up. He is going to play, but he's banged up. T. Higgins is not going to play. But I think Kittle gives you that multiple touchdown ceiling that Tyler Boyd does not give you. And I always tend to lean towards those types of players who can give you that week winning performance. So for that reason, I would play George Kittle over Tyler Boyd. So we're going to play both of the tight ends here and keep Tyler Boyd on the bench. Appreciate the question, even though you asked it 3 times. Matt's another one that I've seen in multiple of our shows. So I appreciate Matt. I see the Patriots logo, fellow Patriots fan here. Excited about the loss. I don't know if you feel the same way about me. Just at this point, it's a lost season. Why would we want to win games at this point? Let's just keep losing and get that early draft pick. I got visions of Caleb Williams. I dream about Caleb Williams every night in a Patriots uniform. I know it's not going to happen, but man, I dream it. So I don't know if you feel the same way about me or same way that I do or not, but I also don't know if Bill Belichick is surviving the plane ride home. They could just keep him in Germany. I really think they will. I don't think they're going to fire him mid-season, but there are reports that he could. But I talked about it on last night's show. My feelings on that. Let's get to this question. Sam Laporta, Kincaid, Josh Jacobs. Let's start 2 of these guys. We're going to go Sam Laporta. I think this is going to be a big week for Sam Laporta. Awesome matchup. Great game environment for him. I think, man, it's tough. Kincaid's been playing so well. Josh Jacobs, that offense at this point is just going through Josh Jacobs. For that reason, I think we have to go Josh Jacobs. We have to go Josh Jacobs over Dalton Kincaid. But it's tough to bench Kincaid. Now, the second question from Matt is Marquise Brown or Calvin Ridley. I'm going to go Marquise Brown here. And I know it could be a decent week for Calvin Ridley. And I know we got some concerns about Kyler being rusty, but with this question here, I am going to go Marquise Brown. Pick 2, Javonte Williams. We're already down to 9 minutes before kickoff. We got to pick up the pace here. I promised I would answer every YouTube question. All right, pick 2, Javonte Williams, Tank Dell, Jordan Addison, or ADA Adams. Okay, I was like, who the hell is ADA? All right, that's Devontae Adams, right? Here we go. Here's the question. Pick 2, Javonte Williams, Tank Dell, Jordan Addison, Devontae Adams. I think we keep Devontae Adams on the bench here. Keep Devontae Adams on the bench. I had a question on last night's show that asked me Tank Dell or Devontae Adams. I originally was like, I think we gotta play Devontae. I don't like it, but we gotta play him. We talked it through later in the show. We had a similar question. I ultimately decided, you know what? I think we gotta play Tank Dell. We can't play Devontae Adams. We can't at this point. If we have an option like a Tank Dell, especially with no Nico Collins in a game environment like Texans versus Bengals, I think we gotta play Tank Dell over Adams. So let's go Javonte. Oh, it's pick 2. So we're definitely going Jordan Addison. We'll go Jordan Addison, and we'll go Now it's between Williams and Dell. Damn it. I think we can definitely go Jordan Addison, and we will go with Tank Dell. Tank Dell over Javonte Williams. Appreciate you, Sleepy. All right. Do I start Jordan Goff? Jordan Goff. What the hell? It's too early, man. Jared Goff or Joe Burrow. See, this one's tough because normally I would just say, yeah, Joe Burrow. I like that game environment, but I also like the Lions game environment. And Joe Burrow, he does have Jamar Chase, which is good, but a banged up Jamar Chase, but no T. Higgins. With that said, though, I think we still got to go Joe Burrow because, yes, I do like the game environment in both of these games, but the Lions are a little bit more wanting to run the ball than a Bengals offense. So let's go Burrow here. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely over for Mac Jones. I don't know if he's going to see another start. They just benched him at the end of this one. Or Bailey Zappi, though he didn't look any better. Bailey Zappi came in the game as like, I'm in the game. What would Mac Jones do? And he did that. He did that. He did exactly what Mac Jones would do. Throw it right to the defense. Defense. All right. We got to pick up the pace. I keep saying that, but we got to do it. Zay Flowers or James Conner, Kyler Murray or Josh Dobbs. First question, we're going to go James Conner over Zay Flowers. I think this Cardinals offense is going to go right through James Conner with Kyler Murray coming back. His first game back in a year, knocking off the rust. They're going to go right through James Conner. So I like Conner there. Kyler Murray or Josh Dobbs. This one's a little bit tougher. I think we're going to go Josh Dobbs for probably the similar reason. Now, I know Josh Dobbs has big concerns as well. He's, just got there, but he played really well last week. And he's played well all year, even when he was with the Cardinals. He's got better weapons and so forth. I'm excited to see what Josh Dobbs does when Justin Jefferson comes back. But I think we go Dobbs for this week over Kyler, and we go James Conner. Christian Kirk or Garrett Wilson. I think we will go Garrett Wilson here. I am a big Christian Kirk guy. I have them ranked very, very close. I'm looking at my wide receiver rankings right now on yardsperfantasy.com. Garrett Wilson is my wide receiver 11 this week, which feels high, but we do have a bunch of bye weeks. And Christian Kirk is my wide receiver 13. Both great plays. If you can get them both in your lineup, I would. But I have to give the slight edge to Garrett Wilson if I do need to make that decision. All right, sit one. Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, Chris Olave, David Montgomery, PPR. Gonna sit one of these guys. Wow. So I want to play David Montgomery. It's hard to bench any of these wide receivers because any of them could give you a dud, but any of them could give you a great week. Man, this one is a really, really tough one. Really, I like all three of these wide receivers this week. I think if I have to, I'm going to bench Terry McLaurin here. Yeah, it would be Terry McLaurin. But I don't love it. I kind of want to play all three of these guys because, like I said, any of these guys could go off. And if the one that you put on the bench is probably going to be the one that goes off, let me tell you that. That's just how it works. That's just how it works. But I'm benching Terry McLaurin. John Dotson or Devontae Adams. This one, I'm going to play Devontae Adams, especially with Curtis Samuel coming back this week. Jahan Dotson has not been productive when Curtis Samuel is in the lineup. His good games, which has only been like 2, his good games have come with Curtis Samuel out or Curtis Samuel exiting early. And the Raiders are trying, give them credit, they are trying to get the ball to Devontae Adams. One of these weeks is going to happen, right? Maybe with Aaron Rodgers on the other side of the field watching from the sideline. Devontae Adams is going to feel like his old self, and maybe a little bit of that magic will rub off on Aiden O'Connell, and they'll connect for a few few plays down the field. Yeah, I'm going to go Devontae Adams there. DK Metcalf, this one's from Julio. DK Metcalf or Deontay Johnson, standard scoring. We've had a lot of standard scoring questions recently, which kind of surprises me. But I'm gonna go Deontay Johnson. I'm gonna go Deontay. He's been really playing well here over the last couple of weeks. The offense is bad, but it's not like Geno Smith has been playing well for DK Metcalf either. Man, I look at the rankings. I do have DK ranked 2 slots ahead of Deontay, but my gut right in this moment is feeling Deontay Johnson. So both great plays. DK is my wide receiver 12 for the week, though, in my rankings. Deontay, the wide receiver 14. Now, Deontay is going to benefit from Jair Alexander being out of this game, but DK Metcalf does have more target competition. However, he is going against the Washington secondary, who's been very susceptible to wide receivers here. I just want to flip a coin for this one. This one's so tough. Play them both. Can you play them both? In a standard league, this is what changes it. We're going to factor in that it's a non-PPR league. That's DK Metcalf, because DK Metcalf is a little bit less reliant on volume. He can give you those big splash plays that we're probably not getting from Deontay Johnson. That's going to get you the yardage, the touchdowns, rather than Deontay Johnson, where he gets there on a lot of reception volume, which is not as beneficial in a non-PPR league. So for that reason, we are going to go DK Metcalf over Deontay Johnson. All right, it's 12:59. Let's go like a 30-second rapid fire mode. We got some questions on TikTok to get to. If you have any more questions on YouTube, drop them really quickly. Gabe Davis or Christian Watson? We're going to go Christian Watson. Thank you, Julio. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Sam Laporta or Kincaid? We're going to go Sam Laporta. Tyler Lockett or Drake London? Let's go Tyler Lockett. Kind of for the same reasons I like DK Metcalf a little bit this week. Washington's been very susceptible to the pass. Hawkinson or Kincaid? We're going to go Hawkinson, although supposedly there's a report that Hawkinson could be limited today, in which case definitely play Kincaid if that's true. But I must have missed that one if it is. Jacoby Myers or Brian Robinson? Yeah, gross. Let's just go Jacoby Myers. Jordan Addison or Chris Godwin? Let's go Jordan Addison. B-Rob, or when there's 2 B-Robs, you can't use the B-Rob. So that could be Brian Robinson. That could be Bijan Robinson. I'm going to assume it's Brian Robinson. So we're going to go Cortland Sutton over Brian Robinson. But it's 1 o'clock. It's time for football. I'm going to tune into Red Zone today. 7 hours of commercial-free football is about to start. Really appreciate everybody who tunes into these shows on TikTok, on YouTube. We're trying to grow the channels. If I didn't get your question, hit me up in the Yards Per Fantasy Discord. You can find the link on yardsperfantasy.com. All my rankings are there as well. Really appreciate everybody. Thank you.